The first thing Emily noticed when she opened the book was the smell. Rotten, like something long dead. The second thing was the whispering. It started soft, like the rustle of leaves, but grew louder, more insistent, as if the book itself was trying to tell her something. She shouldn't have opened it. She knew that now, but it was too late. The book had found her. The moving truck had barely left when 8-year-old Emily wandered into the attic of her family's new house. The air was thick with dust, and the wooden beams creaked under her weight. The house was old. Too old, her dad had joked. But Emily loved exploring. She was drawn to the far corner, where a faint glint of gold caught her eye. There, hidden beneath a pile of moth-eaten blankets, was the book. Its cover was cracked leather, embossed with strange symbols that seemed to shift under her gaze. The title, written in jagged letters, read, Liber Umbrarum, the Book of Shadows. Emily's fingers tingled as she opened it. The pages were yellowed, the ink faded, but still legible. Strange drawings of twisted creatures and cryptic incantations filled the pages. At the center of the book was a symbol, a circle with a goat's head inside, surrounded by words in a language she couldn't understand. That night, Emily couldn't sleep. The house groaned and settled, but it wasn't the noises that kept her awake. It was the whispers. Faint, almost imperceptible, they seemed to come from the book, which she had hidden under her bed. The words were unintelligible, but they felt alive. The next morning, Emily's parents noticed the dark circles under her eyes. Bad dreams? Her mom asked. Emily nodded, but she didn't tell them about the book. She didn't want them to take it away. That afternoon, while her parents unpacked boxes, Emily sat cross-legged on her bedroom floor and opened the book again. This time, the whispers were louder. She traced the strange symbols with her finger, and the room grew colder. Her breath came out in visible puffs, though it was the middle of summer. Suddenly, the pages began to flip on their own. Emily froze as the book stopped on a page titled The Ritual of Summoning. The illustration showed a group of hooded figures surrounding a child, their hands raised to a shadowy figure with glowing red eyes. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. Emily slammed the book shut, her heart pounding. But as she did, she noticed something. Her reflection in the mirror across the room wasn't moving. It was staring back at her, smiling. Over the next few days, Emily's reflection began to change. At first, it was subtle. A flicker of movement when she wasn't moving, a smile when she wasn't smiling. But soon, the reflection started doing things on its own. It would wave at her, point to the book, or simply stare with hollow, black eyes. One night, Emily woke to the sound of scratching. She sat up, her heart racing, and saw the book lying open on the floor. The pages were flipping rapidly, and the whispers had become a chorus of voices. Her reflection in the mirror wasn't her anymore. It was a shadowy figure with glowing red eyes, just like in the book. The figure stepped out of the mirror. Emily screamed, but no sound came out. The shadow loomed over her, its breath cold and rancid. It reached out a clawed hand and touched her forehead. Images flooded her mind. The hooded figures, the ritual, the child being offered to the shadow. She realized with horror that the child was her. The next morning, Emily's parents found her sitting in the attic, the book open in her lap. Her eyes were blank, her skin pale. She didn't respond when they called her name. That night, the house was silent. Too silent. Emily's parents woke to the sound of chanting. They followed it to the attic, where they found Emily standing in a circle of candles, the book open before her. The air was thick with the smell of sulfur, and the shadows seemed to writhe and twist. "Emily!" her mom cried, but the girl didn't turn. The whispers grew louder, drowning out their voices. The shadowy figure from the mirror appeared behind Emily, its red eyes glowing with malice. Before her parents could reach her, the figure raised its hand, and the candles flared. The last thing they saw was Emily's face, twisted in terror, as the shadow consumed her. The house was abandoned after that. No one could explain what happened to the family. The police found no trace of Emily or her parents, only the book lying closed in the center of the attic floor. It was taken as evidence, but it vanished from the station the very next day. Years later, a new family moved into the house. They were unaware of its dark history. On their first night, their youngest daughter, Lily, wandered into the attic. She found an old, dusty book with a cracked leather cover and strange symbols. The title, Liber Umbrarum, glinted faintly in the moonlight. As Lily opened the book, the whispers began. They were soft at first, like the rustle of dead leaves, but quickly grew louder, more urgent. The air grew cold, and the shadows in the attic seemed to stretch and twist toward her. She froze as the pages began to flip on their own, stopping on a page with a grotesque illustration of a shadowy figure with glowing red eyes. Lily's heart raced as she heard a faint scratching sound behind her. She turned and saw a shadow moving in the corner of the attic, a shadow that didn't belong to anything in the room. It shifted, growing taller, darker, until it took the shape of a figure with glowing eyes. Terrified, Lily dropped the book and bolted for the attic stairs. The whispers turned into a deafening roar as she stumbled down the steps, her breath coming in ragged gasps. She didn't stop running until she reached her parents' room, where she collapsed into her mother's arms, sobbing. The next day, the family moved out. They never returned to the house, but the book remained, waiting in the attic for its next victim. And in the corner, the shadow watched, patient and hungry.